It's now time to bring you a feature on the show today. Now, over 7 million Nigerians lost their jobs due to inflationary pressures last year, taking the total number of poor people in the country to over 83 million, and now 40% of the total population of Nigeria, that is. Inflation also hit a four-year peak in the month of March, driven by the effect of COVID-19, as it rose to 18.17%, up 4.85% from February. And as of July this year, Nigeria's headline inflation stands at 17.38%. Nigeria is expected to have the fifth highest inflation rate on the continent by the end of this year, behind only Zimbabwe, Zambia, South Sudan, and Angola. Now, the high inflation is also compounded the financial pressure on households and already faced businesses with a shrinking labor market, stagnant economic growth, and increasing levels of insecurity. Now, Nigeria is experiencing cost-push inflation, where prices of goods and services are driven up by the high price of inputs, wages, and also production resources, most specifically imports. Although Nigeria has experienced a downturn in its inflation in the past 4 months now, the nation's inflation rate could increase once again due to the likely increase in the cost of energy. Looking at petrol price, inflation is the biggest driver of poverty so far because of its impact on households, businesses, and overall security. Rising prices erode real incomes and purchasing power of consumers, heightens pressure on operating costs, increases production cost, and also reduces real return on investment. Businesses have struggled and continue to struggle, as it is not always possible for producers to transfer additional cost to consumers. Unemployment suffers as a result. Rising unemployment in the country in turn will push more Nigerians likely into criminal activities to support their livelihoods and also make up for lost earnings. A surge in insecurity over the last few years has also slowed economic growth further and left many more people displaced and unemployed, leading to a vicious cycle of violence. However, the problem is not easily solved. The combination of rising inflation and unemployment rates creates a unique set of challenges for government and policymakers. Policies that boost economic output and reduce unemployment, such as a reduction in taxes and increase in government spending, would worsen inflation because these policies tend to increase the supply of money in the economy. Instead, the current situation presents yet another reason for the Nigerian government to focus on diversification in general and also specifically a reduction in the country's dependence on imports. Now, excessive importation strains the already depleted foreign reserves, increases exposure to imported inflation as a result as well, looking at the price of goods available in the economy. Well, joining me now live in our Lagos studio to discuss this, I beg your pardon, virtually to discuss this and much more, I have economist Michael Ilo. Good to have you on the breakfast show this morning.
Yeah, thank you, David. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Now, addressing the issues of unemployment and then the double-digit inflation we have on ground right now is no easy feat for any government to deal with. But despite the promises of relief from government and looking at unemployment rate, a third of Nigerians still fall under the unemployed or underemployed region. Is this due to poverty, some notion of laziness, or security, or issues with just the broad government policies? Because we cannot attend to this just picking a sect. We have to look at it holistically.
Yeah, I think your last sentence sums it up. It is an holistic view. It's not really laziness. I don't believe Nigerians are lazy, although Mr. President may disagree with that. But I think when the motivation is not there, or you've tried your best at some certain levels and every day, imagine a graduate looking for a job. You go in, day in, day out, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. At some point, you seem to get tired. You think the country is not fashioned for you. So I think government too is trying, although they can do more. That much I believe. If we are doing policies, we should do policies that have a human face. Policies that can really solve problems. Policies that we can tinker with along the line. And somebody said, put all your eggs in one basket and wash that basket. So if Nigeria is our basket, we need to put this, front and center of everything that government is doing. If you are doing policies, make sure that those policies work. Make sure that those policies are born out of real needs and need real approaches to tackling the societal problems.
I like the fact that you use the phrase policies that have human faces, that understand how pertinent these issues are, the pinch of the populace, and how difficult it is really to live at this point in time. But how can Nigeria now begin to fashion out or scale up its diversification agenda? It sounds cliche, it's just more talk and less action. Do you share this sentiment, and why does this also dampen the sentiment of any investment drive that we want to see in the country that will support MSMEs and also the broader base of other key sectors of the economy, aside from oil?
Well, beyond paying lip service to talks of diversification, I think government needs to sit down, needs to cross the T's and dot the I's. I give you an example. In 2013, despite the apparent successes, Dubai said, okay, let's have a tourism development policy. Between 2013 and 2020, I think 2019 was the last high before the pandemic. We said we want to increase participation in the tourism sector. So just 3 items: increase number of people coming, sustain the ones that have been coming before, and encourage repeat visits to Dubai. Everything they've been doing in Dubai, you can sure there's a hinge to those policies. It's in Dubai that they say, okay, go big, go home. So you see all the tourist attractions that they are bringing, despite the fact that they were late to the party. People go to Dubai just to see attractions, just to have a feel. And Nigeria became, we got on the bad end of Dubai because of the practice of some unscrupulous citizens of ours there. You saw the issues we are having with people wanting to travel to Dubai even for genuine reasons. This is because Dubai has a policy. This is no friend or enemy scenario. This is about the interest of UAE, as it were. So if you don't do things that support us, we will not give you visa to come to our country. We want people to see us as the people that have a good reputation and that are not kidding when it comes to issues of corruption. So if we want to grow, if we want to diversify, we should look at sectors of the economy, maybe 3, 4, 5 at the most, focus on them heavily. Maybe mining, petrochemicals, tourism is what is reigning all over the world now.
And agriculture.
Invest agriculture too, because we have the land for that. So these are things that are possible. They are doable. We have all the best economists. We have the brains. When I was in my days in Uniben, and I had a professor that spent 4 years at the World Bank. He was their leading researcher. When he came back, we were all envying him. These people are telling others how to do it, but it seems the government is not really looking.
Why is it so difficult?
Charity begins at home.
Ms. Silo, why is it so difficult for government to replicate such models like we have in Dubai now? The standard of living is higher, the disparity between the poor and the rich isn't so much. But in Nigeria, I understand we have contextual issues. There's this paradox of poverty versus immense wealth in the country. Now, for example, Nigeria is the only OPEC member country in the bottom countries list in terms of income per capita. How can we now also raise living standards and youths and families and businesses if we're still applying the same models we've had over the last decade?
Well, beyond thinking that youths are lazy, I would say it's about seeing the youth, the immense population that we have, as an asset rather than liability. People want to work. It's not everybody that needs to go to university, but those who go to, they don't want to go to university, spend 4, 5, 6 years, even with all the attendance strikes, and come out looking for jobs for the next 3, 4, 5 years again. These are not how things are done. If we have factories, I'm not saying that government should be the one building factories, but there's a way you do policies and simplify business practices in a way that people will be encouraged. Some people have funds now. Okay, I give you an example, not a very good one. See all these ransoms that are being paid. Do you see the money being paid as ransom finding its way back into the economy? No. Does it reflect on the lives of the people that are collecting the ransom? I don't think so. Those money are being stashed away somewhere. They are not being used to generate employment. Meanwhile, the people paying the ransom, those money, because economics is about options. You have this money, I could have used it to build a house, I could have used it to start a business. At the end of the day, I'm using it to pay ransom. It might be a loan from a bank. It might take me 3, 4, 5 years to pay that loan back. So these are the issues that are the context, corruption, and the rest of it that are at the bottom of where we find ourselves.
Wrapping up our conversation now, government prides itself in the Ease of Doing Business Index and its promise of lifting millions of Nigerians out of poverty and also bringing them into the employment bracket. Do you think all of these can be achieved? And talking about the preceding elements we've had, the discussions we've had so far, the antecedents to such promises, and then the president just has less than 2 more years to go. Do you think any change can be achieved?
Well, government is a continuum. The issues of ease of doing business is a good step in the right direction. These are the parameters, indicators are the things that give you ideas whether you are going in the right direction or wrong direction. But a lot of things are still not as they should be. It's one thing to be in a position, it's another thing to know that you can actually do better. So from the views of most economists, Nigeria can do better than what it presently is.
Mr. I'm asking this within the scope of
is finding.
I'm asking this within the scope of power supply, looking at capital and other issues around resource distribution. Do you think we can see any change?
Well, you can never afford to be pessimistic, not as a patriot. The thing about it is it will take a while, but government is doing the right things, at least with infrastructure. So if they can do some other things that has to do with policies and monitor them, put round pegs in round holes, square pegs in square holes, you can be sure that we will make some foreseeable progress.
Well, Nigerians deserve better. Thank you very much for your time on The Breakfast Show this morning. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Michael Ilo.